So you've probably noticed that I'm sitting in a new place. I've got a new quarantine facial hair, new haircut. We got St. Joseph up here, which you've never seen before, and a Get Used to Different t-shirt on. And shout out real quick to The Chosen and all the good work that those guys are doing in their new TV series. Go check it out if you haven't watched it before. But I'm going to talk more about why I'm wearing this t-shirt towards the end of my testimony. I want to be different. I wanna be changed till all of me is gone and all that remains. So hey everyone, thanks for watching. This is Konnor and Ayla, Testimonies Week Part 2. Last week you heard from Ayla. This week you're gonna get to hear from me. So some of you might be wondering, well, why do you, Konnor and Ayla, feel like this time now is when you need to share your personal testimonies? And a quick answer is, God always wants us to share the good work that He's doing in our lives because He wants people to know what He's capable of and what He can accomplish when we give Him just the smallest crack in our heart. And so also I wanted to share with you this verse that I came across the other day when I was reading. And it comes from 1 Peter chapter 2. And it says, He, God, or Jesus, has won you for Himself, and you must proclaim what He has done for you. He has called you out of darkness into His own wonderful light. So I think this perfectly points to why we should share our personal testimony, because we know that once we've surrendered to God and become followers of Jesus Christ as Christians, we do not belong to ourselves. We belong to Jesus Christ. And so everything that we do, everything that we say is for Him, for we are now His. And so I hope that this personal testimony of mine resonates with some of you. But before I get into that, I just want to say the reason that Ayla and I decided to share our testimonies separately is because they happened separately. They actually happened relatively around the same time, but just in very different ways. And so I want to also focus on the time period from kind of high school to college. And then in our next week's video, you'll hear more about from college to now and me and Ayla's conversion together. So in high school, what a time, right? You're right, Ayla, I shouldn't have sat in the rocking chair. So during high school, those are the years that I first really started realizing that maybe I needed God in my life a little bit more. But of course, I was caught up in the whole high school scene, and I was really focused on sports and academics and friends and the social life and stuff like that. And it was really a fun time for me, but I think looking back on it now, I really realized that I let a lot of those things get in the way of building a relationship with God. And specifically, what I'm talking about is in high school, I just wanted to be great at everything. I wanted praise, I wanted honor, I wanted to have a lot of accomplishments, and I wanted to be recognized by a lot of people. And but at the same time, I wanted to seem humble. I wanted to seem like a good Christian. I think a lot of guys can relate to this feeling of wanting to do great things, right? We want to do honorable things, but the problem is when we let our own pride get in the way of that, and we want to do honorable things for ourselves and not for God. And that's what I did in high school. And so I really let that mindset follow me into college. And I had this self dependence, or this thought that I was in charge of my own self fulfillment. And what I mean by that is, everyone always says when you go to college, it's all about seizing the day and writing your own story and, you know, blaze your own trail, things like that. And that's really what I took to heart. And it was all about accomplishment for me. And I wanted that 4.0 grade point average. I wanted to go get into the best medical school and have the best profession. I wanted people to recognize me as this intelligent, funny, smart, athletic dude. And my pride just grew and grew. And so from high school to college and throughout that whole time, I didn't realize it, but I was really just trapped in this cloud of self-centeredness. And the only thing that was going to draw me out of that was realizing that it wasn't all about me, and that God should be the one at the center of everything that I do. And I had to experience His mercy to bring me out of that. So more specifically, in college, freshman year was all about the parties, right? It was all about meeting everybody, making a bunch of new friends. And it's so strange because in college, you know so many people, but yet you don't feel known by anyone. And so that felt very empty to me. And, I made a lot of friends, but, the root of those friendships was how much fun are we going to have together on the weekends, and not really in anything deeper than that. And then so sophomore year, I kind of strayed away from that and I really started to focus on my schoolwork. And so I was spending hours and hours and hours every day in the library studying, trying to get the best grades. And ultimately, that just left me feeling even more empty because I was putting my value in my grades. And I didn't have a social life, I wasn't interacting with people. And it ultimately just left me even more alone. And so, sophomore year, in the winter, I took a job through Christmas break that was in packaging and manufacturing industry, and I really just hit this breaking point when I was waking up every single day at 4:30, 5 a.m. to go to work to a job that I hated just to make money to pay for college, which I wasn't enjoying because I was putting my worth in all the wrong things. And so I decided that when I got back to school in the spring that things were going to be different. They're going to be different for me. And I always knew in the back of my mind that God was there, but I never pursued that relationship with him. And he was always this distant being off in the sky that I was never able to draw close to me. And so much like Ayla, she went on that retreat. I signed up for the same retreat exactly 1 year later from the time that she went. And that really was the beginning for me. That's where I learned that Jesus Christ was someone that I could have a personal relationship. He was someone that was going to know me and love me no matter what grades I was getting, no matter the type of people that I was hanging out with or what they said, and no matter what my future career was, he was always going to be there. And just like Ayla said, one of her biggest moments of grace came in adoration in front of the Blessed Sacrament. Um, I can say the same. And on that retreat, when I was kneeling and the priest was coming around with the monstrance, and Jesus is in the Eucharist and the monstrance, and he came up to me and he put it in front of me, and I was just totally abandoned. And I said, God, if you are here, if you are in this piece of bread, like, you have to reveal yourself to me in some way. And in that moment, when the priest held the monstrance over me, I just totally lost control. And I just felt in the deepest part of my heart that he said, Here I am. Here I am. I have always been here. And from that point on, everything was changed for me. Um, that's just one small moment of grace, but a conversion is something so much greater than that. And it happens day to day over a long period of time. So I started going to Bible study and seeking the truth of my faith. And the more I went, the more I was convicted by the truth and the beauty and the depth of the Catholic faith. I started hanging around with people who were going to push me to better things, were going to push me to strive in my faith and in virtue. And, I immersed myself in this community of people that really wanted the best for me and wanted to build me up. And it was in that community that I found true love. And it's also in that community that I found Ayla. And I learned the power of the rosary. I learned the power of silent contemplative prayer. I learned the power of reading scripture. And most importantly, I went to confession for the first time, probably since my confirmation in 8th grade. So over 6 years. And in that moment in the confessional, I just was able to let go of all the things that I felt bound by and from those previous years, all my sins. And walking out of there, I just felt free. And from there, I learned the value of self donation, and it wasn't all about me. And so I learned through service and loving others that I could be drawn out of that cloudiness of my selfishness and of my pride and donate myself to others in different ways. And that's really what we're meant to do. And Jesus Christ is the perfect example of that. He gave himself totally on the cross. Um, and that's what we're called to do as well. And when you encounter Jesus Christ in this way, there, like Ayla said, there's really no going back, and it's either all or nothing. And so, that's why I wore this shirt. That's why I love the saying from the TV series The Chosen, because you have to get used to different. And God is always calling us out upon the waters. He's always calling us into the known, and He's always calling us to go deeper. And so I'm just encouraging you all to allow that to happen. Allow Him to draw near. Allow Him to change your life. And things are going to be different, but different in a good way. And it's beautiful.